Hello and welcome back to Marineford TCG. My name is Joe. Drink of the day is a lime and yuzu iced tea, and OP13 has finally hit the markets. Unfortunately for my Europeans, Card Market has not uploaded listings yet for half the cards, so I'm not going to be showing Card Market off. We are going to be focusing on TCG Player, as whilst TCG Player is currently limited to only professional sellers being able to sell, I honestly don't think most of these prices are that bad for pre-sale. Normally pre-sale prices are like through the roof and they're kind of silly. But the prices on some of these, like the 5 Elders being around $10 pre-sale, I think that's quite reasonable. In the past couple of sets, we've seen the Mihawk and the Katakuri being the most expensive SRs in the sets. And those cards have sometimes gone in multiple decks, it must be said. However, they've sort of settled around $8 once the set's been out for a little while. So I really think 10 for a card that's going to be incredibly meta-defining really isn't that bad. Will this go down over the next couple of weeks? Yeah, probably. As the set comes out, more people are going to be able to upload, because like I say, currently only professional sellers can list. But if you are someone who's got an event very, very soon, I really don't think paying $10 for these is actually that bad. And that goes for some of the other meta-relevant cards as well. The Yamato, sitting around $6, $7 clearly by this market price. See how many are available. Yeah, there's one here for $7.40. This guy's got loads at $8. Again, I do think this will go down. I expect this card to probably settle around maybe $4 or $5, initially at least, and then will probably gradually fall more over time, as these cards always do, as more and more product gets opened. And make no mistake, with this set, I think a lot of product is going to be opened, because of people hunting that God Pack, right? And small side tangent, I guess we'll talk about the price of something for the God Pack. I haven't seen concrete pricing, and TCG Player is going to be terrible for something like that. The sort of values I've been seeing going around, I saw one that people were negotiating around 4,000 US dollars. I saw one that someone was looking for 3,000 British pounds, which is a similar value. So that's pretty nuts. Shame we didn't pull one in our box opening, but alas, what can you do? So if you do hit that, don't get scammed. That's a lot of money. It's a serious amount of money. Don't let people scam you on that, because that's, yeah, that's at least at the minute that's looking crazy, and we'll see about that. But yeah, going back to these SRs, I really don't think like $6 for Yamato is really that bad, honestly. This is a staple card in Ace, and I think this has good potential for the future. I could see this seeing play in a Blue-Yellow Nami. I could also maybe see this seeing play in Blue-Yellow Boa as we look ahead to OP14, but that one's a little bit more tenuous. I think Blue-Yellow Nami, where it sort of has that Wano engine already, could very well end up playing a card like Yamato. It gives you more cards to use for your leader effect, it gives you a Don on your leader. Seems pretty decent. Newgate, I think, is the one that is, yeah, this is quite overpriced. This is not a $13, $14 card. I think it might settle around the same as the Mihawk and the Katakuri in the previous sets, maybe around $8. It is probably the best SR in the set, because this is very best defining in Ace. The Elders are very meta-defining in Emu, but Newgate you can play in other decks. If you're playing like Ace Gate, UI Ace, UI Nami, really any blue deck can very well consider playing this Newgate. So I do think this will be a little bit more expensive than the Elders, even though like in terms of the meta, they're about as relevant as each other. Some of the less playable SRs like the Stussy and the Bonnie I think are a little bit overpriced still. These will be like $1, maybe $2 SRs. At a push, but I think realistically both of these are going to be around $1 once the set comes out, possibly less. Yellow Bonnie is very much an off-meta rogue sort of pick, and you don't really see these cards in any other decks. However, I will say with the Egghead Luffy deck on the horizon, these are ones that if you are a big fan of yellow or the Egghead archetype, you could consider picking up. Ooh, I'm covering up half the Stussy. You could consider picking these up once they drop to around $1. Because they may well end up being good in that yellow Luffy leader if he is good in the Egghead starter deck. We have no knowledge of that yet, but if you like speculating and you enjoy yellow, could be ones to consider. This market price is way off the lowest one. Yeah, it's saying market price $2, but the lowest one is $5. I don't know what's going on with that. I think this is much more of a $2 card than a $5 card. Currently, this is seeing success in Lim, this Tenkos Shanks, also seeing success in Red-Green Luffy, and limited play in Green Zoro. Sometimes you see this at 1 to 2 copies You don't often see this at more than that, and sometimes you don't see it at all. It's very much sort of a tech option, if you like this Shanks in Green Zorro. But it is a good card nonetheless. Rayleigh at $3, this ain't too bad. I think this will settle around sort of $1.50 probably. It's going to be good in Red Purple Roger. Likely to see at least some play in UP Luffy. Although I have seen a lot of UP Luffy players still opting for the 9-cost Luffy. That extra 1,000 power and drawing card, it's pretty good. Rayleigh resting a blocker though is pretty valuable too into cards like the 4-cost Marco and the War Curie. So I think Rayleigh at $3, again, if you do have an event very, very soon, and you don't think you can afford to wait till everyone can list on here next Friday, I don't think paying $3 for this is too crazy, right? You're paying $12 for a playset. If it settles at sort of $1.50, well, you'd be paying $6 for a playset. It's not that big a difference. You're not going to feel too upset about it. Some of the truly not very good SRs are also very cheap. Roger, ASL, and Uta all under $1 already, which is great to see. All of these cards not seeing a ton of play. I was quite disappointed with the Roger, man. I can't lie. But seeing him under $1 already, I mean, if you do want to play a Roger build that is focusing around this, it already being cheap means that you're not going to be upset to pick this up for $1, right? A Sabo Luffy, I think, is one I would recommend getting copies of at some point. Right now, probably not. I probably just wouldn't bother paying the shipping on these. But if you could pick these up off your locals for like 50 cents or $1, I really don't think it's that bad. This will probably play at some point in the future if power-based sort of combat or power-based removal comes back. Right now, removal is at an all-time low because of Emu. However, if we do see decks like Marco come back into the meta, Marco will love this ASL. Because it just works perfectly with him, right? It gives you the Don, it gives you a bunch of power down, and it's a 2k. Really, really good card. It's like the new Otama. And with Otama rotating, once we hit rotation, this will be your best option for that sort of a card. And again, I really don't think this is that bad for $1. But it will fall. This will be like a 20-cent SR, most likely. In terms of the alt arts, these are all still pretty silly. Once we get way more listings of these will drop. This Nougat in particular at $90 is that's quite funny to me. Surely no one's paying this, but this will likely be certainly on the more expensive end of alt arts that we've seen recently. It's a really nice looking card. Nougat's a popular character, and it is a good card in the Nougat, in the RU Ace Nougat deck, in the RU Ace deck for sure. I'm going to take a quick look at the rares because these ain't too bad. These really ain't too bad, and that's good to see. Sometimes you see these presale tellers trying to make a mint off the rares. And whilst there are a couple here, like the Law and the Divine Departure, that they're still asking over $1 for, the vast majority of these are like 50 cents for Saturn, 50 cents for Shanks, 20 cents for Buggy. This is great. Strange that some of the Elders, like Saturn, are 50 cents and War Curie's $1.88. I guess these two have a little bit of application outside of Emu. War Curie in Blackbeard and Mars in Red Black Sabo. If you have an event soon, I don't think you'll be upset to pay these sort of prices, 50 cents for most of these rares. I'd probably hold off on this Zorro. $2.50 for that, a little crazy. This is really only seeing great success in Green Zorro. And make no mistake, it's a very good card in that deck. But outside of that, you don't see too much of this card. Sees a little bit of play in Red Green Luffy. He's not doing too well. This isn't in Lim. I've not really seen this too much in Bonnie. So, I'm not really sure why this one's $2.50. I'd probably hold off on this one. But honestly, the rest of these, like the Saturn, if you want Lilith Searchers, Buggies for your Roger deck, I think these prices are pretty fine. Let's take a look at the alts of the rares. There's a couple other rares here. Yeah, the Elders are still too expensive. These will drop. These will be probably on the more expensive end of alts. If I had to take a pure stab in the dark, I'd say maybe $30 each would be a reasonable price for these. Probably $20 to $30. Because they're not playable really, other than really only just Mars. They're not playable outside of Emu. Like, you're never going to be playing Jupiter or Nostura outside of Emu. At least I wouldn't think it would. But anyway, they are really nice looking cards though, and collectors will love these. So if you are someone that really likes the artwork on these or wants to rarity Emu, with sort of the affordable ones before we get down to these silly expensive ones, I think I'm sort of looking at paying around, I think I'm looking to pay sort of around that $30 mark. If you can get them for that, I don't think that's too bad. And once we see more listings from the private sellers, I do think we'll see these drop. But honestly, a lot of these ain't too bad. Like 20 bones for Sanji, it's not the end of the world. I don't know why this Lilith's quite so expensive. She's not super playable. Only really in Bonnie at the minute. S-Snake's already down at 15. Yeah, the Shanks is a little bit more because he's pretty good. And the Garp is significantly more. But this is good in multiple decks, right? This is good in all three of the new brothers from this set. But it's also good in the old RP Luffy, if you want to play that one. So it's actually pretty cool seeing the Garp have a little bit of value. I love Garp. He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy. And a really good card as well. In terms of the secret rares, as expected, Sabo is the most expensive. Around 20 bucks. Got Luffy at 15, 16, and then Ace is, yeah. This Ace is not super good. He's definitely the weakest of the three brothers in terms of the secret rares. You don't really see much success in anything. I expect this to sort of settle around 4 or 5 bucks. Like I say, it's just really not seeing any play. Sabo is absolutely staple, but only in Red Black Sabo, who is sort of more off meta, just outside of the big top 3. He's probably top 5, top 8 decks. So honestly, 20 bucks for this. It's less than Kuma, and I would say this Sabo is more, probably maybe more, or at least as meta relevant as Kuma was in OP12 meta, because those yellow decks they were there for sure. They were topping, but they weren't like dominant, and I think Sabo will be in a similar position. So seeing this for 20, especially given that the pull rates on all three of these secrets are a little bit lower than an average set, because you get 8 secrets per case, right? So normally in a normal set, there's 2 secrets, you get 4 of each. In this set, you get 332 or 323 or whatever. So on average, there will be 33% less of these. So seeing these at quite reasonable prices for pre-sale, I think it's not too bad. Sabo, I imagine, will probably settle around maybe $15. Just the increased rarity combined with the fact that he's actually quite good, I think will make him keep a bit of value. I think Luffy will be a little bit under that, maybe around $10, because it is going to still be quite rare, at least compared to your average secret rare. But this isn't seeing too much play at the minute, mainly in that RG Luffy. However, I think this card has great potential for the future. It's a very powerful card. Oh, also sees a little bit of play potentially in GP. I've seen GP lists playing this one. And yeah, the Ace I think will be like a $5 secret. The card's just not very good, unfortunately. But you never know, in the future you might see success. And there's been a couple of RU Ace lists that have played this. We're not going to bother talking about mangas and wanteds. Although, yeah, seeing the Ace as the most is funny. It's because there's an error in the text, right? It's got the text. I wonder if the card market scan has it. Or it's TCG Player. Yeah, look here. It's got the error text from the Luffy secret, which means that it's incredibly expensive compared to the other two, which is quite funny. Compared to this Roger and the Luffy. And the Sabo, actually. Seeing the Sabo as the lowest is quite amusing. I suppose the Roger is the most playable, right? Luffy's Luffy. And Ace is, they've got the error, so yeah, makes sense actually, maybe. Hey, all 4 of them though, pretty high price. I expect they'll drop a little bit from here, but maybe not too much, because these wanted posters have started getting a little bit more popular with collectors recently, which is interesting. There's no way there's one of these listed for $99. Huh? Is this actually 19? There's no way that someone's actually selling the red manga Ace for $99. What? If you're an American watching this video, go check this out. If this is still here, I don't know, maybe buy it and see what happens. Because if you could get one of these for $100, like, there's no way. There's simply no way. Look at this. The Sabo's at 6,000. Even the regular manga is 1,000. This is either an error listing or, like, I don't know what's going on here. Opportunity for the bargain of the century. If I was an American, man, I'd be buying this. That'd be crazy. Anyway, moving swiftly on from that. Moving on from that, I've got a bit of a list of cards that I want to talk about, and I'm just going to start by checking out the best match page to see how many of them we can knock out from this. Marco down to $16. This is much more reasonable. Still very expensive SR, don't get me wrong. This is one of the most expensive SRs I've seen in a while. But $16 compared to This got to like 40 at a point. $40. So seeing this back down at 16 is great. Absolutely staple in RU Ace. Staple in like UI Nami. A bunch of other sort of off-meta decks as well. So I don't think this will drop significantly from here. I'd not be surprised to see this sit at around this $16 mark. Maybe drop a couple dollars, maybe go up a couple. But I think if you want to play a blue deck, you're going to have to bite the bullet, because the pull rates on these PRBSRs were bad. And I don't think this price is that bad, right? We saw this reach 26, and then it went up to 40. 16, it sucks, but it's not the end of the world. Uta is one that has gone up a lot. It's very popular at the minute in both the Ace deck as well as Roger. Both of them just really appreciate this card's flexibility. Being a 2k blocker that they can just drop for 2 Don gives you another good option at the end of the game. You can drop this very cheaply alongside an 8-cost Roger, alongside a 4-cost Marco, and keeping some Don open for a Rad Beam. Both those decks love this card, and it's not surprising this has risen, because this was in Starlight 23 and did not get a reprint in PRBO2. Not that we were expecting one, because this is a very recent card, but seeing this rise from $2 to sort of $8, it makes sense. Will this drop? Maybe. I don't know. There's not many. Is there more S23s out there? I think some of the official Bandai stores still have these, but I'm not sure about the ones in America particularly. I believe in Europe, this card's a bit more. That deck at least is more purchasable. Seeing Bargwa reach $6, $7, $8 is kind of crazy. I mean, this card's hella old. I thought this is definitely seeing less success though in OP13. So I think this will drop throughout OP13. It's still good in UP Luffy, and UP Luffy's still pretty good. But GP Luffy was also using this, and GP without that McDonald's boa. Well, no, it's not it's not one of the McDonald's promos. It's from the tins from the woman set, I think. Then it's not even a boa. It's a Robin. What am I talking about? Without the Wobbin promo from the woman tins, GP's kind of struggling. So I think we will see Bargwa drop as UP Luffy's play rate drops as we go into OP13. And again, the same with GP. If you have these, I think now is a reasonable time to sell, because this price is very, very high. Mihawk is one I wanted to talk about. I think this is a really good purchase. This is very, very good in the Zoro deck. This is a key part of Zoro. And this reprint is only temporary, right? Once these IBO4s have sold out, this is going back to being only a starter deck card. And ST12 has been out of print forever. So I think if you don't have these and you intend on playing Green Zoro, or even Green Mihawk next set potentially, this could be a good grab. $5, especially given that this is an alt art, seems quite reasonable to me. I wish these were like, this is about £3.50 in the UK. These in EU are like £8, which is, well, that's like $11. It's crazy. But I would recommend buying this Mihawk if you're someone that thinks they're likely to play a deck that might need it. Of course, if you're not planning on playing green, why would you buy it? Why would you buy it? That goes without saying, I think. Usahachi down to 70 cents is brilliant. I remember when this card was, what, like $10? Really, really silly. For starter deck cards to get to this price, not good. Mihawk, is this dropping? Yeah, this is dropping. Good, yeah. This card's not seeing any play at the minute. This card's got, it's $4, but it's $2 shipping. They're all one-offs. I hate buying cards as one-offs. You just end up paying $1 million on shipping. It stinks. But yeah, I think this Mihawk will continue to drop as we go through OP13. Green Zoro is not playing it. Bonnie's sometimes playing it, but Bonnie has a lot of different top ends that they want to include at the minute. Michael Zoro, Lord Beppo, Doffy, Mihawk, sometimes even still Kid. There's a lot of different cards that deck wants to play, and it's tough to find the ratios, right? Because otherwise you'll just end up with a bunch of bricks. Oh, and Hody, of course. Hody, of course. Mihawk, the leader in OP14, I think is likely to play this. But you never know. He might not play it. If it's just still too slow into Emu and Ace, we'll have to see. But it is good to see the price dropping on this, because the play is dropping significantly as we go towards the next set. How any of the other ones? Oh yeah, this Boa Hancock shot up, didn't it? Did it shoot up in America? It shot up a little bit here, yeah. When I presume this day is when the Bo Hancock leader from OP14 was revealed. I don't even know how important this card is going to be for that deck, because we're sort of seeing what that deck is trying to do. It's just trying to make a board that your opponent can't deal with. So freezing one of their characters or their leader could be pretty useful, especially their leader into Zorro. If that deck does end up struggling with green Zorro, which I don't think it will, but if it does, then this Bo will be really good. Outside of that, we might end up just getting better options. We've seen some of the cards already for the Bo deck, and it looks pretty reliant on getting trigger bodies. So who knows? Will this actually be a mainstay in the deck? I think it's probably likely to be at least a couple copies, but we do have the 4-cost Boa from the starter deck, and that's actually one that I really want to check out. Boa ST17. Hopefully that comes up. That isn't... Not even close, baby! Ah, dear. Let's just try going for Boa. Incredible. Where is she? Where is the one? And here it is, the Boa ST17 Boa. Yeah, this has shut up. Okay. I don't think this price is that bad. If you can get the 2 off these, you're saving on the shipping. So you're paying, what's that, like $3, $4.50 for 2? That's not too bad. And buying these 2 from the Pookie Boys in Ohio. But yeah, this card I think will be staple in the Blue Yellow Boa. It being a blocker means that you can force the leader effect, which is great. And it's just consistency built in and gives you that Don to your leader. So on curve, you both get to swing into ace, which is cool. And also just get that Don stuck on your leader so that the leader effect is online immediately. Should they, for example, play Tashigi and rest this and kill it, you still get to burn their life, which is really, really good. I do expect this to probably go up if Boa ends up being good. And honestly, probably go up even if Boa does not end up being good. So if you can pick these up for around $1, $1.50, I think this is a really good buy. Maybe even at $2. At $3, if it's including shipping, not too bad. But these are rapidly becoming like $5. So I'd try and source these locally if you can. But I do think this is one to watch as we look at OP14. There's not too much we can tell from that set just yet. But this is one that has absolutely jumped out to me. And I guess we'll stick on the OP14 theme for now, because this Sengoku Searcher, where is he? Yeah, the alt art of this, I wonder if this is, yeah, this has started going up. I thought this was one to watch as soon as it was announced that we're going to get a Warlord set. I actually picked up a couple of these myself for around sort of £3-4. And now that the Boa deck, at least, looks to be playing a lot of Warlords, just a lot of Boas, really, we may play Sengoku. It might not be preferred. We do have the Grandma Gloriosa Searcher, who is going to be searching for all your Kuja Pirates and Amazon Lily cards, which is going to be more of your deck, and that will be the preferred searcher. But if we do need an extra searcher to increase the consistency of seeing our Boas, and importantly, seeing Perfume Fema, which I think is going to be a very, very important card for that deck. And I'm actually interested to check out the price on that one in a moment. I would potentially watch this Sengoku, because this could be a pretty good card in the deck. And let's just go to Perfume Fema now, in fact. Perfume Fema. Yeah, 30 cents for the rare version. If you don't have your playset of these, obviously don't pay $1 shipping. if you can't pick up a playset from the same guy. But if you can get these at your locals, I think just grab yourself your playset. This will be good in Boa. This will be good in Jinbei. Will those decks be good? We don't know yet. However, if they are, this could go up. I mean, Jozu is like $3 at the minute, right? The Jozu from OP08. I wouldn't be surprised to see this hit a similar level if those decks become good. And the alt art is here. This one's it's a really nice alt art. I think $12 is a little bit more than I'd be looking to pay for this, given that it is in a file. I'd probably be looking probably around $6. Honestly, I think this is quite high. But if you like this card, I mean, maybe you could pick up the alt arts. It's not the end of the world at 12. And like I said, I do think this will be key in both Boa and Jinbei, most likely. Now, both those decks seem to be very aggressive, right? Boa's burning all the life, and Jinbei's attaching 1,000,000 Dons and swinging. So, unblockable seems to make sense. Another card that I'm not necessarily going to recommend buying right now, but I would potentially keep your eye in over set 13, is Kuma. This card was really expensive, $40 for a secret. It was never worth that. And L's good. UI Nami was pretty decent. But this was never necessary to compete unless you really wanted to play an L in particular. However, I think at the moment in OP13, this card is not doing very well at all, right? Yellow is sort of nowhere, and Bonnie, who is probably the best performing yellow deck, isn't playing this card because it's kind of slow, or at least isn't always playing this card. If you are someone that likes yellow, I think this will drop over the course of OP13, unless the Japanese format changes something for OP14, and this card will be good in the future. And a small note for OP14, this is a Wall of the Sea. In that UI Boa deck, if we do play the Sengoku Searcher, this is searchable, which is obviously a nice little boon for that. Will that end up being the route the deck goes? Who knows, but it is a... But consider this like a note that the Kuma could well end up seeing playing Boa, and then could rise again. So I think there will potentially be a point during OP13 when this is a good time to buy. And how much that is obviously going to be up to you. But I'd keep an eye on Kuma if I was you. Next, let's talk about some reprints and starting off with Cavendish. Seeing this guy down at $4 or $5, it's great. I remember how expensive this card was. I wonder if the charts will show us, right, beyond the OG one. And the OG one is keeping value. I don't know who's buying this. Like, this isn't the collector piece. Yeah, $50. It's crazy, man. This is not even that long ago, right? September, this was $40. And now, brilliant, down to $4 or $5. Still quite expensive, you know, for a card that's just been reprinted. And if you do intend on playing green decks going into the next couple of sets, mainly Green Zoro, but also Bonnie, of course. I don't think $5 or even $4 for the deck version. Although I'm not going to lie, these non-OSRs kind of look like shit. I'd probably spend the extra buck to get the SR personally, but $4 or $5 for this, it's so much better than 50. Really, really good to see. And it's contributed to Green Zoro being a lot more affordable in this set, right? Oh, small note while I remember it. This Cavendish is currently, what, like 80 pence? I think this is going to be pretty good in Red Blue VV. So if you do intend on playing that deck, and it looks like it's going to compete a little bit at least. I've seen a couple of topping lists from the east of Red Blue VV, and they do seem to be making use of this Cavendish, as whilst you can't give it rush, you can defend it very easily between the blockers that VV naturally plays, and of course the leader effect, just stopping it from being KO'd. And when you just get to draw more cards per turn, I mean, it's pretty damn good. If you can protect this guy, it's great, and VV lets you do that, so it seems to be a pretty staple card in VV lists. The main other one I want to look at in terms of reprints is Bonclay. Hopefully this comes up. No, I'm going to have to type out the real name, Bonclay. Incredible, there he is. Yeah, that's $20 for this is still a little expensive. You know, always the Pokeboys Ohio. Remember this username from earlier. $18 is still a little bit expensive. It's not as bad as what he was before, though, right? Let's see how far back this goes. Yeah. $80, $80, that's crazy, man. It's wild to think that this secret rare got to that level. And obviously 20 is a lot better than 80. If you are planning on playing Roger, this is replaceable with the 5-cost Odin. I think this does serve a good purpose, though. The reason you play this is just because it's very, very good into Red Blue Ace. You set it on the board, and then if they choose to play the white beard blocker, he swings for 12. They don't love defending 12Ks, right? They have to block and give you 1,000 counter at least. And then their blocker's gone and you swing with your other things. So the Mr. 2 is really, really good in that matchup. In the Emu matchup, it's kind of just a ramp, because all their dudes are 5. And in the Zoro matchup, it's just going to get rested. So if you're not expecting much Red Blue Ace at your locals, you could very, very easily substitute this with the Odin. However, if you do expect Ace, and I certainly do, I do think this card is really important for Roger. And of course, still staple in other purple decks like Purple Luffy and UP Luffy. Both of those still really love this Bonclay, of course. Very good to see Kobe dropping. Yeah, drop from 12 to 6. This is going to continue to drop as we get into the next set. You're not seeing much success of this right now. I have seen a little bit of success for this, again, in Red Blue VV. Again, it's a character you can just defend, and then it draws cards every turn. And this can combine with your Cavendish, if you've got one of each, to give you, like, some crazy card draw. And also just very, very good at dealing with chump blockers, especially into Green Zoro. But there are all sorts of decks that want to play chump blockers, right? Emu sometimes like to play the VV, But if you've got this Kobe on the board threatening, and the Charlos, they just can't really play those, because Kobe just decks them immediately, which is obviously pretty nice. Again, you can't give him Rush with Vivi's leader effect, because he has a when attacking. But because you can defend this, and it draws cards, it's a nice play on 4. All of the other SRs really outside of the Cavendish, the reprint ones, are all really affordable. I would say if you are someone that likes to collect playsets, now is a really, really good time to do it for the reprinted cards. I mean, look, the Shirahoshi's down to 50 cents. Black Maria, this was a few dollars in the past, now down to 40 cents market price. And even cards like Carrot that were out $2-3 at a point, down to 50 cents. And even the Secret Rares, right? Secret Zoro down at $3. I'd just pick up playsets of pretty much all the reprinted cards. There's not many other than really like the Cavendish who still have much value. So I think accumulating playsets now, it's a really good time to do it. And the trend of the PRBO2 cards dropping has sort of gone across the board. The Boa was sort of the one exception that saw a bit of a rise recently with that Boa leader. But Marco's down, Kobe's down, even like the Sabo. Sabo's only a little bit down, right? Yeah, Sabo's down from the start, but he's been around this $7 mark for a while. It's good in Red Black Sabo, and it's an option, although an option that less people are choosing to make over time in Emu. A lot more focus is going on that Shirahoshi. And speaking of, let's take a look at a couple of cards that I've been sort of telling you to buy for a while. Red Roger Secret is one of them. There's a lot of Jolly Roger foils. Goldie Roger. There he is. Yeah, he's up to $22. I picked up mine at 5. I believe I've mentioned this quite a few times on the channel when this was like 5. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in my last Market Watch. I must say, I think I might have forgotten him. But $20 kind of sucks. I hope you bought down here at 5. That's what I did. And yeah, then we got a buyout here. We've had another buyout. And as we go into OP13, this is very good in Roger. This is very good in Sabo. And of course, also Ace. Any red deck just wants to play this because Ace and Emu both play a lot of blockers. They focus around them. So just having this is essential. Do you need a playset of this? No. You can get away with 2 in any of those decks. You only need 2 copies, which does soften the blow a little bit. And if you do need to buy this for a tournament, don't see it dropping massively anytime soon. One that actually caught me off guard that I completely missed is Thatch. Not Thust, but it worked out what I wanted to get. Yeah, this is up to $4. This is a Newgate starter deck exclusive card. And the reason that you play this is you play it in Ace because on play, we don't care about the power down, not in this house. We care about taking a life. If you've got Roger on the board, right, and you're sitting at 1, because your opponent, if you've got Roger already and they can't deal with it, they're not going to hit you to 0 unless they know they're going to win anyway. So a lot of the time, they will leave you at 1. Having this Thatch as just a 1 Don option to take that last life can be very valuable. It must be said, not all Ace decks are playing this. Some Ace decks choose to play the Jozu, the Rush Jozu 2K. I've seen some Ace decks playing even the 4-cost King Do from set 8, I think. It's not very good. And I'd probably play Thatch over certainly the King Do. I think there's a little bit of argument for Jozu at least. He is Rush, but yeah, this Thatch does have a place in the deck, and this completely caught me off guard. I forgot this card was a starter deck exclusive, to be honest, and I forgot to mention this one, so that kind of sucks. I apologize for that one. That was just a card I missed, and the price rise has been a little crazy. Will it drop? Honestly, probably not. Maybe a little bit. Maybe we'll see like $3, but yeah, that kind of sucks paying that price for a card that doesn't look that good. But I believe this was a 2 of in the deck. I have to assume, otherwise there'd be loads of them. And yeah, it didn't get a reprint in the PRB. Moving on to Stussy, not the yellow Stussy, but the black Stussy. Black Stussy is still in Emu. You also sometimes see this in Sabo, quite often in Sabo actually, I'd say. Not sometimes, I'd say pretty much always. And this is now hitting $4 market price, still a couple lower than that. This guy's got one for 3. This guy's got one for 385. But yeah, you're rapidly approaching. What's going on with this? This sequencing is terrible. Like, there's like nearly 6, and then we go back down to 5. I don't know what's going on here, but regardless, you're sort of looking around $3-4. I recommended this again a long time ago. I think $3, it's not the end of the world for a card like this. If the meta doesn't change from being focused around big characters a lot of the time, this won't drop off. If OP14, though, does sort of focus us around more mid-range, which at least Boa looks to be doing, this Dusty may drop in price. At the moment, I think at $3, if you want the card, I would just buy it. Emu's typically only playing 2, Sarbo's on sort of 2 to 3 usually. So paying $6 for a couple of these, it's not too bad. I'd just get this if you plan on playing a deck in OP13 that does use it. And finally, I want to talk about the Perona Searcher. The Perona Searcher is one that I bought a few weeks back. I paid, what did I pay? £3, I believe, each. Yeah, I bought them around the start of October, I think. Now up to 6, and the reason that this is going up, but the Mihawk is dropping, is because this is still very good in Zoro, and this will also be very good in Mihawk, it seems. Most of the support that we've had reveal for that is either events or slash. Put 2 and 2 together, you can do it. Incredible. And of course, Zoro still plays this SR, whereas he no longer plays the Mihawk. I still think this is okay at 5. I would maybe expect this to drop by about $1 or 2. This hasn't really gone up since October. In fact, it's dropped a little bit since the end of October. So you might see this drop to $4, maybe. But if you do plan on playing Green Zoro, or if you like the look of Green Mihawk, I'd potentially pick this up now. So I think that's about it. I think that's all I want to talk about today. TLDR, the pre-release prices for OP13, really not that bad. The SRs, mostly, other than I think really the Newgate and some of the yellow SRs, I think those prices are not that far off where they will be. Don't get it twisted. Once the set comes out, those prices will drop. Only professional sellers can sell at the minute. But if you do have an event very, very soon, and you know you're going to play Emu, I wouldn't feel too upset about paying like $10 for a 5 Elders SR. I think it will settle. My best guess is around 5 or 6. Maybe we'll see 8. It is a very good card, but we'll see. The rares as well, other than, what was it, that one Zoro that was inexplicably $2.50. All the other ones like 50 cents, $1. It's not the end of the world paying $1 for a rare. It really isn't. If you have a big event that you need to get to immediately. Again, those will almost certainly drop once the set comes out proper and more people can sell. In terms of cards to watch, all Boas really, but especially Boa from ST17, I would say. The Sengoku Searcher and Kuma. If you like some of the other decks, I'm sure you'll have an idea of what cards might go with those leaders. But Blue Yellow Boa currently is the deck that I think looks the best, or at least the most playable. However, we are still waiting for a lot of support from OP14, and we'll just have to see on those. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.